Hey guys, Magnus here, bringing you another video. Today I'm going to be doing my Act 1 and 2 review for the Simpsons Tapped Out Treehouse Horror 30. So what I'm going to be doing is the normal structure for these kind of videos. I'll be talking about each act individually, and then I will talk about the individual things, how I feel about the act, and then at the end we'll do a little comparison and say which one's the better out of the two. Of course, I'll do this again for Act 3 and 4, so once Act 4 drops, I'll do a video, after my premium gameplay anyway, I'll do a video talking about that. So right off the bat, I just want to say God isn't going to be included because God is actually available for every single one of the acts, so he's there for the entire event. So I don't think it's fair to include him in Act 1 just because he was released in Act 1, because technically he is a character that you can use in every single act. So I think if we're going to be comparing premium characters, which I've decided to do for this one, just because it makes sense to do it. It's only fair that we don't include God as an Act 1 just because he is available for the whole event. So instead, I'll obviously just be doing the Paw Salesman with the Paw stand, and the Invisible House with the Dr. Griffin, the Invisible Man. So let's get first of all into Act 1. So yeah, we have Act 1 here, as you can see. So Act 1 was called Operation Clogged Drain. Just open up this picture for me. So we have, obviously, the first prize is Malicious Crub. So he's obviously a character we get. It's pretty cool that they started off with a character. I always do like that. He's okay. I don't think he's anything amazing. He's an okay character. He's got voice, which is cool, and some of his animations are kind of cool. But I just feel like he's not the most solid of characters. He's meh. The second prize is actually Hugo, but if you don't own Hugo, you get a dozen donuts, so that's 12 donuts. Yeah, I'm fine with them doing this once, but of course you shall see they do it again. And this early, I feel like it should be more of a later in the act, because it kind of ruins the flow a little bit for me. The third prize is obviously Robot Homer. I'm not a massive fan of this decoration just because I really wished the Robot Homer was a character or a costume. So I'm really hoping that later on down the line, when they do another Treehouse Horror update, they sort of retcon this decoration. So they'll add Robot Homer, and so when he's in your town, he disappears from this decoration. Just because otherwise we're going to have two of them. And I do want him to be a character because I think he's definitely got the potential to be a full character or possibly a costume. The next prize is the Scary Doc with the Blinky Monster, but if you own him, you obviously get another dozen donuts. So this is the thing, I'm not a massive fan of this. Now, the reason that I'm especially not a fan of this, I'm pretty sure Blinky Monster was originally donuts anyway. I'm pretty sure. He was never something you could unlock. So it's a bit annoying that they've done that. I feel like Hugo makes sense because he was involved heavily in the storyline, but the Blinky Monster really wasn't, and they definitely could have done without him being in there. So I feel like this is true for all the acts. The second sort of non-owned prize, if you own it or you don't own it, those kind of prizes, I think the second one in every single act is the one that needs to be cut. The first one is fine. But yeah, nothing much more to say. And then finally, we've got Zia Simpson as the final prize. So another character, a character that people have wanted for a while. I'm not a massive fan of her, if I'm going to be honest. I think she's okay, but she's nothing too interesting. She is just a stereotypical teenager, so nothing really too fun about her, but it's cool to get her, I guess, starting to complete that kind of Simpsons family, the future Simpsons family, because I do want to have Bart's children in the game as well, and we've obviously got gender already, but having Bart's children would be probably the next step. So overall, we got two characters and a decoration in terms of new stuff. Not particularly that great, if you ask me. Definitely could be improved. And we may as well move on to the premium character. So the premium character, obviously, of this event was the Paw Salesman with the Paw stand. Yeah, I quite like him. I think he's got some interesting animations. He's not a massive character anyway. He only appeared in one scene, and he doesn't actually reappear. There might be a cameo maybe, but he doesn't reappear, so it's a difficult character to do, but I think they pulled him off quite well. I think his questline was quite fun. The questline entirely for Act 1, I'm not a massive fan of the questline, to be honest. I know the whole gathering monsters thing. It just feels a bit lazy. Not lazy, it's just nothing too amazing. And I feel like it's very loose. It's a very loose structure. And that's true for the whole event, though, so I'm not really going to critique the individual quest lines too much, just because they are pretty much the same story. But yeah, in terms of the Monkey Paw Salesman, I think he's good. But is he better than the Invisible Man? We'll have to see in a sec. And so we move on to Act 2. So Act 2, of course, was called Prelewd to a Power Move. So this came obviously out a few days ago. But we have a few things here. So we obviously have Hagen Death, which is the first thing we unlock. So this is a building. I quite like this building. I think it is pretty cool. It's nothing amazing, like I say, but it's an okay building. And then the next prize is Count Dracula, but if you don't own Count Dracula, you get 12 donuts. I think this was a mistake, because Count Dracula is kind of one of the major characters in this entire event. I feel like he should have been switched out for Hugo, and Dracula should have been the first thing you unlock, because I don't know, he seemed involved in the Act 1 questline as well. He was involved in the Act 1 questline, so why we don't get him until now, I found was a bit weird. Yeah, and obviously, whatever. And then you get Dracula's Castle, which really should have been added last event, but last Halloween. But we've got it now. I think this building's awesome. I think it's probably my favourite building in this entire event, probably. From what I can see of the other buildings, this one's definitely probably the best. Really cool looking, it's perfect size. Yeah, just really cool overall. Then we have Howl Hill with the werewolf, if you don't own it. Again, I'm not particularly happy with this, but I'm not going to repeat myself. And then the final is Gelatinous Homer is the last prize. So is the thing. Now, I really wanted this to be a costume, and I don't know why the hell it isn't a costume, because they even do like this play in the quest line where it's like the supersized Homer costume, and then him are like in the same quest line. I found it really weird. It should have been a costume, and this is really annoying, because I can get the young characters, I can get why they don't want the young characters to be costume, but this should have been. I don't understand why it's not. It makes no sense at all why they've added this as a character. So now we've got like, because it's meant to be the same, like we have Halloween versions of Homer, like we have you know, we have the Santa Homer, for example. We have the Mayan Homer. They're all costumes. The Strongman Homer, they're all costumes. This should have been a costume. Now it's just inconsistent, if you know what I mean. Like the whole basis. So I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I really dislike this being. I think it's cool in its own right. Like if this was a costume, I'd say it's a goddamn awesome costume. But it really kind of makes me a little sour, because it should be a costume, not a character, and I don't know where I stand on it. Because I like it. If it was a costume, I'd probably say it's a really cool costume. But the fact that it's not kind of makes me a little bitter, so I don't know, a bit sour. But anyway, we'll move on to the premium stuff. But that's it as a whole. Actually, before we move on, that's it as a whole. So we got 2 buildings, 1 character. It's still not great. There's really not very much content in these acts. And anyway, moving on, we got our premium character, so it's Dr. Griffin, aka the Invisible Man with the Invisible House. I think this one's probably a little bit better than the Monkey Paw Salesman. Like, I think who wins the battle between him and the Monkey Paw Salesman? I'd probably say him, just about. Now, I like the look of the Monkey Paw Salesman, and I like him in the episode. I think he's this really like shady character, and I always wanted to know more about him. Like, I remember watching that episode because it's very early. Is it the first Halloween or is it the second Halloween? It's an early Halloween. It's an early Treehouse horror episode anyway. I actually forget. I don't think it's the first, but it is an early one. And I remember thinking, I want to know more about this character. Now, Dr. Griffin obviously isn't a Simpsons original character. He is obviously from the 1933 film. I'm not sure exactly, but it's obviously an old film. But I just think his animations are a bit cool and his questline's a bit better. That's the only thing I think that puts Invisible Man over Monkey Paw Salesman. And of course he comes with an actual proper building, unlike the Monkey Paw Salesman just comes with his little stand. There wasn't really anything else the Monkey Paw Salesman could come with, so I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I'd probably say the Invisible Man is a little better. So yeah, So that's the premium stuff out the way. Act 2 wins in terms of premium stuff, but does it win in terms of its non-premium content? Well, I'd probably say yes. Mainly because, although I like Maleficent Crub and Zia Simpson, I think those two are, they're good characters. I just think the buildings outweigh those two characters. For me, Hag Death and Dracula's Castle, they just outweigh those two characters. I think the decoration that we got, the Robot Homer, I'm not a fan of that, and I'm not a fan of Gelatinous Homer. So those two things I'm putting to the side because I don't like them. But they're like two minuses, if you will. And then Maleficent, Crub, and Zia. I think Zia didn't really fit. For a starter, I feel like she doesn't really fit into this Halloween theme, and I found it very random and very tagged on that they threw her in at the end as the final prize. So although Zia is a cool character, I think the way she was given to us, I feel like it wasn't good enough. Maleficent Crub makes sense, and I feel I just like those two buildings though more than Maleficent Crub. I think those two buildings outweigh them, and those buildings made sense to be added into the game. So yeah, overall, I'm going to say that Act 2 is slightly better than Act 1. But anyway, you tell me your thoughts. What did you think of Act 1 and Act 2? I feel like overall, though, it's really lacking content, and I'm starting to kind of dislike this update now. At the start, I was really happy with it, but now I've got God. I feel like the only reason I even liked this event was because they added God, and I feel I should step back a little bit and kind of look at this event in a wider picture, because I feel like it's not as good as I thought it was when I first started it. So I don't know, I feel like this is an event where my opinion's going to change by the end, but we'll have to see. Stay tuned, because obviously I'll do some premium gameplay for Act 3, premium gameplay for Act 4, and then after I've done my premium gameplay for Act 4, of course I will do my Act 3 and 4 review, followed by a content list video where I'll give my overall thoughts to the whole event and go through all the stuff we got, the new stuff. So yeah, tell me your thoughts on Act 1 and Act 2 so far, guys, and I'll see you next one. Goodbye.